Good morning. Thank you so much for staying with us and, of course, joining us this morning on Women Radio WFM 91.7, Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. Happy Democracy Day. I don't know why, since yesterday, I've been interchanging democracy and independence. I don't just know why, but hey, it's Democracy Day. Independence is far off till October. All right. So, happy Democracy Day. I hope that we're feeling good today. And, I hope that. We are happy about this democracy that we have in the country, all right, because it's been a long ride. It has been a long ride. 24 years of democracy. It has been a long ride. But hey, it has come with its own challenges, and we get to face it every day. So, in as much as all of this comes up, we say thank God for democracy, and of course, we are grateful for it. All right, so this is the newspaper review right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. Hoping you had a very great weekend and, of course, you are enjoying your Democracy Day holiday. Anyway, just get ready and put at the back of your mind tomorrow is work, so you need to be up and doing. But hey, before then, I get to enjoy your holiday. All right, so this morning we got to hear the president's speech on Democracy Day. Um, which was moved which was actually brought up to June 12th, from May 29th to June 12th, which we get to celebrate every year, that was done by our past president. And of course, we all, for those who know history very well, we can all recall what happened, during that election on June 12th, 1993, with MKO Abiola. So, that was one of the freest, or let's say the freest and the first elections we ever had. But God bless his soul, he died just after that. Anyway, it's Democracy Day, and we keep hoping and praying for the best. And we continue to pray that our leaders get us to that point where everybody can actually say, yes, I am feeling the dividends of democracy. So hopefully we get there at no distant time. We've had different presidents, we've had different administration come and go. Each of this administration came with its own challenges. Each of this administration came with, its own ways of doing things. But did we actually feel this democracy? Did we, get to understand what this word actually means, especially to the common man? Do we actually have all it takes to beat our chest and say, yes, we have been enjoying all that comes with democracy? Oh, well, that is left for you and I, and hopefully, even our leaders too, we get to understand a whole lot of that. All right, so it's newspaper review right here. Like I said, my name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. You're welcome to newspaper review once again on this amazing 12th day in the month of June 2023. All right, so we'll go through different headlines from different papers, and we get to look at some headlines together this morning. It's Democracy Day, so you know that that will definitely take up a lot of the discussions we'll have this morning with our analyst. All right, so but before then, let's go through some of the dailies together. Let's see what the dailies are reporting this morning. All right, so we'll start up with Punch newspaper, and on Punch newspaper this morning, um, okay, before then, you can dial the number 07000 or do well to send a message, a WhatsApp message, or an SMS message to 070 317 56537. All right, so let's head on to the Punch newspaper. On the Punch newspaper, the first headline there says, no comment on Tinubu onto tribunal's judgment, says Clark. EFCC, not DSS, should investigate and try Emefiele, says Falana. Immigration CG wants Lagos passport officers against the racketeering. Police vacate Atiku's allies hotel, fuel station sealed by Rivers. Over 1 million births registered in 5 months, says NPC. IPOP opposes alleged ear surgery for Nnamdi Kalu. Democracy Day. Tinubu hails MKO Abiola and promises to ease subsidy removal pains. Subsidy removal will boost development project, says Obat or Boss. All right, so that's it. And that's it coming from the Punch newspaper. Now let's head on to the Vanguard. Five traders die in Ondo boat mishap. Man arrested in Edo for shooting wife during argument. June 12th, Tinubu following footprints of late Awolowo for reposition Nigeria. Otumba Biodun Ajiboye. Another one on Vanguard says 34 pioneer students of Nigeria's first medical varsity, Unimed Ondo, inducted. All right, still on the punch on Vanguard, I beg your pardon. It says fuel station owners in Kano groan as sales drop. Governor Deleke moves to tackle floods in Oshun. And then federal government, NFG says farm estate model to mitigate farmer header conflicts. Those are the headlines coming from Vanguard. And then on The Guardian, it says Ogun tensioners hoodlums kill four. Police arrest bandits informants in Kujay prison escapee in Abuja. Ocean residents count losses as floods wreak havoc. NDLEA uncovers illicit drug laboratory in Lagos. Another one says Lagos woman bags 144 hours of community service for improper waste disposal. Boat mishap, auto crash claim 11 lives in Ondo. Lack of cooperation from governors, LGA chairman fueling corruption in Nigeria, says stakeholders. All right, let's head on to the leadership newspaper. On the leadership newspaper, it says June 12th, Mba promises to strengthen Enugu people's faith in democracy. Stakeholders urge federal government to enforce implementation of new graphic health warnings on cigarette packs. PDP Ward ESCO clears ex-commissioner and suspends LG chairman. Bauchi agency to vaccinate girls against papilloma virus. All right, still on that, the next one says NAF personnel found dead in Lagos apartments. Erufai Apostle Kure quits Kaduna Peace Commission. And then 10 die in Ondo Boat Road mishap. All right, that's coming from Leadership newspaper. Let's see what we have on Blueprints. On Blueprint, it says Niger, bandits kill 16 and abduct scores as 80,000 villages flee. 2023, Hajj, Nakon Elif 25,030 males, 16,908 females to Saudi Arabia. Fuel subsidy, be patient with Tinubu. Emaworo urges Nigerians. 10th Senate, Izunazo best as Senate President, Southwest media stakeholders. 10th Assembly, Yaris Group blocks Akpabio's overtures. And then on pen pushing, lastly on pen pushing, we have landlord of Lagos building where deadly illicit substance found fleas. Obasanjo backs Business Network International quest to support 25,000 Nigerians in business annually. Five die in Ondo State boat mishap. Group urges political gladiators in Ogun State to embrace peace. All right, so these are the headlines coming from different dailies this morning. Like I said, you can dial 07000 or send a WhatsApp or a text message to 070 Chinyere, good morning.
Good morning, Rose. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Happy Democracy Day.
Yes, happy Democracy Day. You look all beautiful this
Oh,
morning.
wow. Thank you. I think it's a democracy feeling.
Yeah.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, so it's Democracy Day, and we had the president's speech this morning. A lot was said. He gave, a brief history of how we came about, and of course, what his administration will be about in terms of promoting democracy, and all of that. So we'll be discussing a lot of this morning with our analyst this morning. And joining us first of all is Abubakar Ahmed, all the way from Kaduna Bauchi. I don't even know where he's calling us from, where he's joining us from this morning. Whether Kaduna or Bauchi, because he's just in both places.
Hmm.
All right, good morning, Abubakar. Thank you for joining us. You with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm speaking with you from Bauchi.
From Bauchi. All right, great. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy Democracy Day to you.
Thank you so much. Happy Democracy Day to Nigeria as a country and to Nigerians as a people.
All right, so let's start up with Democracy Day. Let's start up with the president's speech also. Let's have that in mind. Now, Democracy Day has come a long way. The military gave power to civilians in 1999, which is about 24 years right now. And then today is, and taking a look at what happened to MK Abiola, the freest and first election that we have ever had on June 12, 1993, which makes it 30 years today. Now, how far so far? 30 years, since we had the freest and the first elections. And then 24 years since the military, gave power to a civilian government. Now, where does that leave democracy today? Because on the president's speech, he gave a brief history of all that transpired and where we are right now as a nation. And he also told Nigerians to, to be ready to sacrifice a little more so that we can have constant power supply, so we could have, the other sectors of our economy up and doing. So we don't have to put the nation down below. We have to make sacrifices for all of these things to work. So what do you make out of, the president's speech and how far we have come in terms of democracy?
Well, let me start from the point, in terms of how far we've come. You see, the June 12th celebration is not it's a celebration anyway. That is a symbol. That is more of a symbolized celebration.
Hmm.
Based on the struggle of late MKO Abiola because of what he stood for, and that election that was adjudged to be the freest
Yeah.
in our history. But it's not really about Abiola,
Hmm.
because that election, if you look at what happened, we started in 1966 when the first civilian or first democratically elected government was truncated. The military came on board, and Gowan was unable to conduct election and ushered in a democratic government, for about 9 years. And his regime also was truncated by that of Murtala when he made a commitment to restore the country on the path of democracy. That didn't happen. And also, we've seen military governments coming on board, but we are unable to restore the country on the path of democracy. Babangida's junta tried to restore the country on the path of democracy, but did that in two phases. The first phase was, restoring democratic institutions, because the election of June 12th,
Hmm.
was supposed to be the climax of the transition of the military to civilian administration. So there were elections at local government level, there were elections at state legislature, and there were elections at the federal legislature. The election of the presidential was supposed to be the cap of the elections that would usher in that third republic. So, for whatever reason best known to the person that annulled that election was annulled. So, the symbolism of this day is about all those that fought for that restoration of political institutions in 1993,
Hmm.
starting from those that also participated in the election, from the chairmanship positions up to where up to the presidential election, because even the president today, President Bola Tinubu, got the prefix of a senator because he won election as a senator in the short-lived Third Republic. So, in celebrating this day, the celebration should go beyond one person, but rather also take into cognizance the sacrifices made by Nigerians in restoring those political, or democratic institutions in the first place, and at the same time, celebrating also those that participated in that election as candidates and won. But overall, in a democratic setting, everyone looks up to the presidential, position. That is why the celebration seems to me like more of a celebration about, the sacrifices made by Abiola. But I think this day should avail Nigerians the opportunity really to celebrate all those that played their part
Hmm.
in holding the feet of the military government at that time to the fire of restoring democratic institutions, even though that was not fully actualized. But I think all those that played part in adding pressure on the military junta to have started that process should be celebrated on a day like this.
Hmm. All right. Thank you very much for that, Abubakar. Now, what now can we actually say that we are free totally from having the military in um in the process of decision making, and powers and all of that. Because even till now, sometimes you get to see a lot of power being exercised, by the military, even to civilians. So, do you think it's the effects of where we're coming from that is still on that, or maybe it's just the power that it comes with wearing the uniform? Because if we want to say we're truly democratic, then we would have to say that to a very large extent, we don't see interference of military, in everyday lives, but we still have all of that, even though we know we need them. But can we say we are free, or can we say that Nigeria has made headways without, having military interference here and there?
Well, in all fairness, since the transition from military to civilian
Mm.
administration in 1999, the military has subdued itself to the civilian authority. And there was no point in these 24 years, from my own, reading, where I come across an attempt by the military to truncate this democratic, dispensation. So for me personally, the military has really subdued itself to the civilian authority. Don't forget, recently, before the elections of, the general elections of 2023, the chief of defense staff also reaffirmed the position of the military in subduing itself to the civilian authority and also helping in the enthronement and entrenchment of democracy. I think that message was very clear. It resonated, across the country, especially for those that felt they could hold the country to ransom and not allow that election to happen. If the military will go to that extent of, reaffirming its position and subduing itself to the civilian authority, I think we've not really seen much of, interference in terms of the military,
Hmm.
the conduct of our democratic journey in the last 24 years. However,
Yeah.
since 1999, the country, in terms of the presidential, candidates that present themselves for election,
Hmm.
there was no cycle of election where a military general was not part of that election until this recently conducted election of 2020. Maybe that could be the reason why some people are attributing the fact that we are not yet done with the military, mentality, if I may use the word here.
Yeah.
But, yes, agreed that these military generals have emerged as civilian presidents
Hmm.
from 1999 with the recently with the last with the last one Muhammadu Buhari, President Muhammadu Buhari. So, but in terms of really interfering with the democratic process by the military institution as a whole, I have not really seen that manifested in the last 24 years.
All right. All right. So you can dial the number 07000 or do want to send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. All right, let's look at this report coming from Daily Trust, and it says EU, Nigeria's democracy not perfect but has yielded fruits. Now it goes on to say the European Union supports democratic governance in Nigeria. Cohort has greeted the people and government of Nigeria for the strides the country has made along democratic path since return to democracy rule in 1999, while pledging to continue to work assiduously towards strengthening Nigeria's democracy and deepening the gains that come with it. The EU SDGN said the Nigerian democracy serves to remind Nigerians of how far the country has come since June 12, 1993, and underlined the significant progress and achievement of democracy in the country. Now, the cohort noted that the country's democracy, although not perfect and still growing with pockets of stormy and smooth sails, had brought with it many gains. So, what do you think about this report where we have the European Union saying that, yeah, democracy is not perfect, but it has yielded fruit? Now that we're talking about 24 years from military to civilian government, and of course, we're also talking about 30 years from June 12, 1993 to today, talking about all that transpired with MKO Abiola. Democracy is not perfect, but has yielded fruit. What do you think about this?
Well, I agree with the EU SDGN cohort because coincidentally, I was part of the capacity building initiatives of the implementing partners under the European Union support to democratic governance in Nigeria. And the European Union has invested so much in in supporting democratic governance in the country in different forms, whether in the area of institutional
Hmm.
reforms, or building capacity, or supporting candidate women and youth candidates, or entrenching, or in the area of entrenching credibility in the electoral process. The European Union has done so much under the SDGN. And I want to believe that if you look at the members of the cohort, these
Yeah.
are implementing partners that are helping the European Union to implement part of the support to democratic governance in the country. All of them, or most of them, we are part of the Nigerian election situation room. And a few days ago, the Nigerian election, monitoring, the election situation room released, its report for the
Hmm.
conduct of the 2023 elections. So there are gains recorded in spite of the challenges that characterize the elections. For me personally, that I have participated
Yeah.
in the electoral process as a presiding officer, as a domestic observer, as a journalist. I have seen the level of progress that the country has recorded in terms of the conduct of elections.
Hmm.
And for the last election, it's not enough for us as a country and as a people to write it off completely simply because there was an election, but uploads of results experienced some challenges. I think we should look at the conduct of the election beyond the performance of INEC alone. That is why, for me personally, I judge the credibility of elections not only in terms of the performance of the electoral umpire, which is INEC, but in terms of the performance of the other electoral stakeholders.
Hmm.
Because there are processes and there are other stakeholders in the electoral process. You have to look at, for instance, the how the security performed, because you have to have security for people to come out and vote. You have to look at the role of the media and education and enlightenment. You have to look at the role of civil society organizations in the area of advocacy.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of stakeholders in the electoral process that you have to situate their own conduct for you to be able to arrive at a position whether the conduct of election in the country is credible or not. So for me personally, in terms of the conduct of these stakeholders that I mentioned,
Yeah.
they have performed excellently in the last general election. The last part, which is the electoral umpire, in terms of the conduct of the election, INEC has done so well. Yes, agreed, there are challenges with respect to uploading of the presidential election results, of
Yeah.
which up till now INEC has not come out to explain to Nigerians what actually happened. But
Happened.
Nigerians, I believe, deserve that explanation
Mhm.
from INEC. So in terms of the progress, yes, we've recorded tremendous progress in the last 24 years in the conduct of elections. In terms of our development, yes, is work in progress. If you look at the leader of the free world, the United States, from 1776, when Declaration of Independence was made, to where they are, we are talking about over 2 centuries. But even at that, the American system has not perfected itself. There are challenges in the conduct of elections. The last election that was conducted up to this moment, Donald Trump is still saying that I was the winner of that election. So you could see that for a country that succeeded in practicing democracy for over 2 centuries,
Hmm.
are battling with the credibility in the conduct of elections. I think for us in the last 24 years, we have every reason to celebrate the successes we have recorded and give us additional 24 years or 25 years. I'm sure by that time we will have perfected some of the gaps that we are witnessing in the conduct of election and in the conduct of other electoral stakeholders. So for me,
Yeah.
I totally concur with the submission of the cohort under the European Union supported democratic, governance in Nigeria, that there are strides that were recorded in spite of the pitfalls.
Hmm. All right. Thank you so much, Abubakar, for that. Now, this is newspaper review on Women Radio WFM 91.7, and it's about 5 minutes to 8 right here. You can do what? Dial the number 07000 917 and of course, send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 Let's have your thoughts on Democracy Day and of any of the headlines that it's been reported by dailies this morning. All right, Abubakar, before I let you go, let's touch a little bit on Emefiele. Now,
All right.
during the weekend, we got to see that, Emefiele was relieved of his duties. And, a lot has been going on concerning that. But let's have your overview on this because this particular report from Punch says EFCC, not DSS, should investigate and try Emefiele, says Falana. So, but aside this coming from Falana this morning, what's your thoughts on, so far, the president, we've seen how active he has been, from having meetings with traditional rulers, having meetings with security of operatives, and all of that. And we've seen that, he has told Emefiele to, leave office for now, and a whole lot of things that one could actually say that he's been working, since he came in. So, what do you make out of this with Mefele, in Mefele's case?
Well, you see, for me personally, I think the DSS or the SSS,
Hmm.
has confirmed that they have arrested Emefiele. What I'm looking forward to is when they will present him before the court.
Yeah.
Of course, you cannot make arrest until you have proof that someone has erred. So for the SSS, we look forward to when they will present him in court and read the charges, on which they are accusing him of. But from the snippets of what was reported in the newspaper and what the SSS itself said it is accusing MFL of, there are issues bordering on terrorism financing. There are issues bordering on money laundering, of which that is where Femi Falana, yes, made a statement and said that issues relating to economic and financial crimes, should fall within the purview of
Of
EFCC to investigate
EFCC.
and initiate prosecution
Hmm.
rather than this DSS. But for instance, issues bordering on terrorism, financing and so forth and so on, yes, this can fall within the realm of criminal offense that the DSS can also make arrest and initiate prosecution. And he even cited a case of the former president of the Senate, Saraki, versus the federal government of Nigeria, where because he was in breach of the code of conduct, code, he was arraigned by the EFCC, but the Supreme Court had to quash that charge because, it wasn't, within the jurisdiction of the EFCC to have initiated, that case in the first place. It would have fallen within the realm of the Court of Conduct Tribunal to have tried Salaki, for that. So these are some of the legal angles to the conversation. But overall, we want to see a system where everyone is made to account for his actions. And MFLA is not bigger than the state, it's not bigger than the laws of the country. If there are, violations of which the DSS has said he has, done something wrong, we want to see that proven in court, and we want to see that done, within the shortest possible time, so that it doesn't give the impression that the government of Bola Tinubu is on a vendetta mission. Don't forget that during the campaigns, the president now, Bola Tinubu, has said that when they come in, they will review some of the policies taken by the CBN
Yeah.
under MFLA. So if the CBN detain MFLA for long and
Mm.
Nigerians are unable to hear from them in terms of the charges
Mm-hmm.
they are they are bringing forward against him, then of course it could mean that people that will add political meaning to it may be right. So that is why I said it will be in the interest of the country and in the interest of the administration for SSS to really fast track its investigation, so that MFLA appears in court if there is the need for that to happen. And Nigerians deserve to know what happened, because in this country we've seen even under the last administration where
Yeah.
high profile government officials will be arrested, and that will be the end of it. Nigerians will not know what actually transpired. But in a democratic government, the citizens have the right to know what their leaders are doing, or what heads of ministries or extra ministerial departments are doing
Mm.
with respect to managing the affairs of this country. So in the interest of transparency and accountability, Nigerians need to know what actually happened, so that going forward we will take lessons from some of these happenings, especially with respect to very sensitive institutions of government. The monetary policy arm of the government, which MFLA iter to head, is
Mm.
very, very sensitive. And that is why sometimes even decision in this regard to either remove or to suspend the head of that institution could bring uncertainty, especially into the financial sector. So that is why it will be in the interest of the financial sector and in the interest of justice and in the interest of the accused, to be given fair hearing, and that should be done within the shortest possible time, so that Nigerians get to know what actually happened.
Hmm. All right, thank you so much, Abubakar. Let's just go through some of the comments we have and then you can react to it. Now, this one says Olushoga is coming from Olushoga Jai from Odonla Ikorodu. He says, "I'm happy Mefele got arrested. This man cost us a lot during the scarcity of new notes. Some lost their lives and other terrible things that happened just because he didn't print enough new naira notes, and the one he printed didn't even circulate. He used trillions of dollars to print new naira notes that caused chaos to the citizens." All right, that's coming from Olushoga. Thank you very much. This one says, "Good morning to you in the studio. Good morning to you too. June 12th on Democracy Day, Ashiwaju was the man that started giving June 12th as Democracy holiday when he was the governor of Lagos State. I think Ashiwaju can be described as part of the foundation of democracy in Nigeria. Thank God MK Abiola did not die in vain." Okay, it also says that on Emefiele, the former governor of Central Bank, was arrested for one, funding of terrorists, two, financial mismanagement and abuse of office. Mr. Emefiele misbehaved and unprofessional. He needs to be questioned and appear in court. God bless Nigeria. Additional was you from Ikorodu. Israel Ogijo says democracy is a laughing stuff in Nigeria until true democracy is practiced. The 1999 election chromosome is a spilled over happening in this 2023 February 25th presidential election. Well, it may look matured in handling, but its success is because much gap of corruption has been created for disciplined soldiers to soil their hands. So they no longer stand for the truth. With what is going on in the Election Petition Tribunal, nothing has justified the will of Nigerian citizens. So democracy is yet a thing of celebration in Nigeria. We need truth. May we not walk and be denied what we truly walked. Israel from Ogijo. All right. What do you make of all of these comments? Saying very well that still talking about the Mefele, how we had all the whole narrow scarcity and all of that that has transpired. So for a lot of people, because of the pain that went through, for them to be like, it's good like that. But with all of this, what do you make out of this comments that we've heard this morning? But before then, let's pick this call. Hello. Uh-oh. All right, do want to call us back 07000 917. That's the number to call in. Let's get to hear from you. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. You're connected. All right, call us back 07000 917. So, Abubakar, just briefly, what do you make out all of these comments going from Emefiele to Democracy Day and to Israel saying that, we're not yet practicing true democracy? What do you make out of all these comments?
Well, let me start with the last one. You see, the Nigerians have reason to lament and to complain because in the last 24 years, the aspirations of Nigerians have not been met in the political, economic, and even on the social space.
Yeah.
So Nigerians have every reason to complain that their lives have not really changed for the better, in spite of the series of elections that we are supposedly meant to give Nigerians the opportunity to elect purposeful leadership that will change their lives for the better. So, in terms of standards or in the delivery of good governance, what we are getting from our leaders is what we accept as standard for ourselves. If we say we want something better, of course, they will give us something better. But because we have set a very low standard for ourselves, that is why the leaders are giving us what we want. So we need to ensure that we play our part as citizens at all times to continue to hold the feet of the elected representatives across, the different levels to the fire to be able to deliver to us what they promise us during campaigns. Okay. But to what extent can we say Nigerians have really, hold political leadership to account for its stewardship? We have a docile citizenship that is not very much concerned in terms of, how it holds accountable those it elected. Okay. So that is the reason why we'll continue to experience this failure in terms of those elected to actually deliver.
All right, let me pause you a bit. So, okay. Let me pause you a bit. Hello, good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good morning.
Is that Ruth?
Yes, this is Rose. Good morning, Chief Agozi. You're welcome.
Yes, you're highly welcome.
Thank you.
How's the holiday?
Fine, thank you.
How's the holiday?
It's going well.
I'm really enjoying you. I enjoy you and our guests as well. You understand? You're doing a beautiful job.
All right.
Would there be power today?
Yeah, no. Today is a public holiday.
What does that mean? Every other radio station, they do hold their program every other
All
day.
right. Thank you very much,
I could not
Magozi.
be say hello to you.
All
Good
right.
at you. Beautiful, beautiful. Let me get to it.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you so much, Chivagozi, for calling this morning. So, Abubakar, just quickly round up on this.
Well, I think for this, it's better I leave it here, Rose. Let
Mm,
me just take the second one, which borders on, Nigerians, that are happy because Emefiele is arrested. You
mm,
see, Emefiele and the CBN has subjected Nigerians to incredible pain,
mm,
especially with that last policy of, cash swap. I personally wanted Emefiele to have been arrested long ago because of how he has subjected millions of Nigerians to hardship. Recently, there was a report released by SBM Intelligence, about 44 pages. It talked about how, the impact of that cashless policy alone on livelihoods, on businesses, and so forth and so on. Lives were shattered because of that policy. In fact, some of us never thought that, Emefiele would last up to this, point without him being arrested. But unfortunately, we had a government, under Muhammadu Buhari that seems not to also hold appointees accountable for their actions. Unfortunately, so now that MFLA is facing this, now that MFLA is here, a lot of Nigerians are happy. But for me personally, I want a situation whereby laid down procedures, will be followed in the arrest of whoever the authorities feel he has erred.
okay.
Because don't forget, before MFLA was arrested by the SSS few days ago, there was attempts by the SSS
Mm,
last year, I think, to approach where they approached a court seeking for order of the court to arrest and detain Emefiele. So that we frowned at because we said it could be Emefiele today, it could be Rose or anyone tomorrow.
mm,
If the DSS feels that someone has breached the law, of which is within their operational purview to make arrest and detain, there is no need to resort into the court in the first place, so
okay.
that they don't put the court, they don't set the court against Nigerians as if it is the courts that as if it is the courts that that gives the order for arrest and detention of citizens.
All
So
right.
that is why we let down procedures. Be followed. I'm glad that the president, even in his address this morning, said that his government will also ensure that the rule of law is entrenched. That is what we want to see. Every actions of government must be in line with the provisions of the law, so that in the end we don't allow institutions of government to take advantage of their position to do things that might be eventually challenged. That will not do good to the government. So for me, I
Mm,
want let down procedures to be followed, no
okay.
matter how long it takes, but I want it to be fast tracked so that Nigerians will really, have confidence in the ability of our security agencies
Mm.
to make arrests and then, make prosecution. And, if the court feels that someone is guilty, sentence him for whatever crime he has committed.
All right. Thank you so much, Abubakar Ahmed. We do appreciate having you this morning on Newspaper Review.
Thank you so much, Rose. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day ahead.
You too. Thank you.
All right, that's our first analyst for today, Abubakar Ahmed, all the way from Bauchi State, analyzing some of, the issues that have been raised this morning, and of course, also talking on Democracy Day. All right, so we'll be joined briefly by Demi Adolu, our second analyst for today. Let's also have, his comments on Democracy Day and all that is happening right now in the country as regards to MFLA and there's so many other things. Good morning, Ademi Adeolu. Thank you for joining us today. Good morning, Ademi. Are you with us?
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Newspaper Review this morning. How are you? How's your weekend? And how's the holiday going?
Well, fine, thank you. The only school just starting the day, so
Hmm.
now we're on the radio. So that's
Okay.
the beginning of
All right. Thank you so much. So, it's Democracy Day, and a lot of Nigerians have, a lot of concerns and, of course, have a lot of things to say. Some will say that so far, democracy, well, I don't think that we're actually seeing true democracy. And going by the president's speech this morning, he gave a rundown of what transpired June 1993 with MK Obiola, given that it's 30 years 30 years since then, looking at all the elections we've had, and of course, looking at where we are right now as a country. And also, he talked about Nigerians sacrificing a little bit more so that we can have other aspects of our economy up and doing. He touched quite a lot about democracy as it is and where we are as a nation. But I would want to hear from you your thought right now on democracy. Since when the military gave power to civilian government in 1994, which has made about 24 years now, and of course, looking at what happened when we had the freest and the first election we've ever had as a country since June 12, 1993. What do you make out of all of this? And having the president's speech also in mind, let's have your take on this briefly.
Thank you very much. So far, when you look at democracy from 1999 today, and looking back to 1993, when we had the 93 election that took place, that was annulled, we would say that yes, though the democracy may not have been that perfect, but the fact is that we are on the road to achieving our aim to make it. We should not forget the fact that you see, we are enjoying so many rights as a people at the moment, and this is because of being in a democratic dispensation. We were to be under the military rule. You and I, a lot of things could have happened. Even the radio station could have been clamped down. These are the things that you expect of having to be under military. But now that we are under democracy, we are enjoying so many freedoms and rights. And that is to say that, yes, the democracy to some extent is working as it should as well, guiding jealousy so that we don't lose it, And so far, when you look at 1993, yes, what we are only seeing in 1993 is just the election that took place and that was annulled. But talking about the
all right, Ademi, let me just pause you a bit. We have a call. All right. Do want to call us back 07000 917 917. Do want to send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. All right, go on, Ademi. Let's hear you.
But when you're talking about governance, you know that Abiola was not being sworn in there. But so far, from 1999 today, yes, we have been issues here and there, but all the same, is a system that we entered, and there's no way what you have not done in a long time that you just enter into it, and you want to get it right. No, it's not possible.
Okay.
So it's just a matter. As we go, we continue to mend. We continue to mend and correct our mistakes. And in the course of even there, we say the hallmark of democracy. They don't have it all. We still have even what is happening there at the moment. So that is why all we just need to do is to protect it and make sure that we are able to some extent do the needful so that we can see the reason why democracy, ought to be there, why we don't want the military to take over, because as it is, if we do anything otherwise, that means we are for the military, and we don't want that to happen. Okay. So that is why that we as a people, Nigeria as a country.
Hello, good morning. Just let me pause you a bit.
Hello, Rose. How are you? Chief Agozi calling back.
All right, Chief Agozi.
You said the democracy there,
Yes.
What have we really benefited from the so-called democracy? You understand me? When you were saying it, I could not even utter any word. You understand me? So that's why I could not utter anything. Have we really benefited anything? Now people cannot feel. You understand me? Even after
2015, fine. We all enjoy what is called democracy. You understand?
Yeah.
Well, then the bag of rice was 600 something, around 7,000 naira. You understand?
Hmm.
So by then, it was not as hard as this. You understand? Look at now, minimum wage is 30,000 naira. You understand?
Yeah.
But the bag of rice is 42,000 naira. How can we cope? And how do you fight that corruption you said you want to fight? You understand? Are you getting it?
Hmm.
Whereby the minimum cannot even afford if you can't afford the bag of rice. How do they cope with that salary of 15? That is something they should be asking themselves. Is that how they live in their house? With that money, be able to feed their dog in a week, that 30,000 naira? That is the question we should be asking. Okay, right.
All right. Thank you very much, Chief Agoze, for calling, talking about if we are actually enjoying democracy as a nation. All right. Ademi, do you want to round up on that?
Yeah, you see what our chief needs to understand that
Hmm.
there will be some sacrifices that we need to make. Like we've been discussing regarding this first subsidy, because I know that is what we're trying to emphasize on, because of the hardship that is bringing to the people.
Yeah.
The truth is, we have been saying it, and we'll continue to say, we'll continue to reiterate it on this program, that the government of the day, yes, they have done the right thing by removing the oil subsidy, but all the same, they still need to subsidize by having a tax, signing an agreement with Dangote Refinery. You see, it is not about the other palliatives that they put in place. If there's no way to actually have an impact on the things of the people, because the truth is, whether when you increase the salary, how many salary are you going to increase? How much you are increasing the salary of the civil servant? What about those who work in the private sector? What about the businesswoman in the market? What about the business people? How do you quantify for the pain that they will feel, the impact of the subsidy on their businesses? So these are the things we are looking at. So that's why we said the only way out. I said it, and I'm going to continue to say it. You see, when there is a problem in a particular sector,
Yeah.
particularly talking so much hardship to the people, it is the responsibility and the duty of the government to look into that sector and be able to look what is the solution. And when you see that hardship, there is need for you to buy up some liabilities and needs, which is something they're talking about. Then there is need for you to subsidize in that part of the economy. What we are saying in a nutshell, yes, I'm not of one of those who support importing fuel. We're not going to import fuel anymore. But let's sign a pact with Dangote Refinery. And yes, Dangote Refinery is going to sell at the market price. But the government has to buy up some of the liabilities that will cause on the people. That is where the word subsidy will have to come in. The government still have to subsidize. That is the honest truth. Because whatever palliative they are putting, when you put enough transportation infrastructure on the road, does not solve the problem. It does not solve the problem. Because all the same, we still have to transport ourselves, we still have to pay the fare. And what about the take home? Like the chief already said, what about the take home? Is this only for the civil servant? Is Nigeria just only for the civil servant? We should not forget that the majority of the population in Nigeria are not civil servants. The majority are private business owners. And so, therefore, we must understand that this is going to have an adverse effect on their businesses, and this is going to cause a lot of hardship. So, for that not to happen, it is of importance that the government, as it is today, should look in that direction, as we have been saying, that they need to sign a pact with Dangote. If the way they are going to pay back is through crude oil supply extra to the Dangote Refinery, then let it be. With that, we know that we have a government in place who are actually listening to the people and who feel the pains of the people. Because it's not just cause hardship and you continue to talk to us. No, it's not about talking. It is by finding a solution. And that solution should be such that will go around, not just for a particular threat, but the entire nation. Because the entire nation are the one feeling the impact.
All right. Thank you so much, Ademi Adolu. Let's take up some reactions on our WhatsApp message. WhatsApp platform. It says, I have, good morning, WFM team. Good morning to you too. I have mentioned uh, in one of my submissions on this platform that the appointment of Emefiele was a huge error because it came from a background that lacked the nitty gritty of banking, which does more of voodoo banking round tripping than the banking practice. This was reappointed. That he was reappointed by President Buhari after his first tenure was a colossal disaster because at that time the value of the naira had depreciated from less than 200 naira to a dollar to over 400 naira to a dollar. Yet he was reappointed. The suspension of Emefiele is in order because he is not deep in regulatory tenant and practice. Emefiele deserved what he got. Olu from Oke Aro. All right, let's look at another submission here. Good morning, presenter. The call for regional government by NADCO is on point, as it may save the country from the calls made by some people in the country to break away, which when each region manage her region like it was during post-independence, there will be healthy competition that will take leaders strive to achieve the extraordinary, unlike when they get money from doing nothing. Bad followers will never produce good leaders. And it goes on to say, when evil people are spared the consequences of their evil deeds, this will encourage more people to do more evil. President Bola Tinubu was part of June 12 struggle and knows the evil people who annulled the who annulled and tried to kill democracy with the killing of Kudirat Abiola and many others. If he fails to bring these people to book, evil will continue to reign in Nigerian governance. Tinubu should not just eulogize MKO Abiola and Kudirat Abiola in the presidential speech, but bring their killers to face the consequences of their evil actions. Bad followers will never produce good leaders. Nigeria will survive. Allah bless Nigeria. Rosanje Olewole Motiu from Alapare. Thank you very much. Good morning, presenter. Mr. MKO, Mr. President, beg your pardon, Mr. President's speech. I think you touched all areas needed, like pay tribute to MKO family and his late wife, um, and others and other people who were killed during the struggle to restore democracy back in Nigeria. And it's like we just want to start democracy now because those that have been president before now was not part of the struggle for democracy. They're just lucky. But with Ashwaju, who is part of the struggle to restore democracy, I think he will give the people of Nigeria the dividend of democracy that we have been clamoring for. God bless Nigeria. Additional was you from Ikorodu. Happy New Week, House. Biola's agenda was to rescue the poor from the shackles of oppression and the nation redirected, but was annulled by the enemies of the country. The challenge to the president is to rekindle the aspiration of Chief M.K. Abiola to liberate the suffering of the masses and reposition the country. I pray we get there. Evangelist Shegun Oyedeji. Then this one says, good morning. Is the media being mischievous or just choose to misinform the people concerning Mefele? The president suspend him and not sack him, like the media has been reporting since last week. He may be returned to office if not found wanting. Bad followers never produce good leaders. All right, we'll take up this message and then you get to react to this and we'll wrap it up from there. Now, good morning. We have nothing to celebrate about democracy. INEC has broken the neck of our democracy in the last elections, which Nigerians are still wondering how INEC came out with the result, which they are afraid to tender as exhibit to Electoral Tribunal. Eze from Alagbado. All right, thank you very much, Eze from Alagbado. Another one here from Damien says, you see, Emefiele's suspension and subsequent arrest by current regime is no surprise, as there was no better body to first quickly swing into action for his apprehension and investigation, as his very shoddy policy, actions, and inaction to the extent of disobeying a Supreme Court order but for NLC threat of nationwide strike as means of last resort, indeed undermined the security of the state and was capable of causing anarchy. As of democracy, it should also reflect economy and projects wise when comparing the military era. For instance, best bridge in Africa was built during military regime then, coming from Damien. All right, Ade, so I beg your pardon. Adeyemi, let's get to hear your take on Emefele's case, and then we'll just wrap it up from there because our time is fast spent. Let's get your take on Emefele and all that is happening. His suspension, and EFCC getting to question him and, to get to just get the what is actually happening out of him. So what's your take in all that has happened concerning the case of Emefiele?
Thank you very much, Rose. We should not forget that there is an allegation that has been put forward against Emefiele that has to do with terrorism financing. And that's a big problem. We must look at it holistically, and we must be able to be truthful with ourselves. If actually it has anything to do with that, that would be too bad. But as it is, an allegation has been made. So it is for the DSS to investigate, and that's what calls for is being arrested. So as it is, although, like Femi Falana said, that when it comes to financial, it has to be transferred to EFCC. But first, the act of terrorism is involved. So that is the essence. That is the reason why he was being arrested by the state security, because it is their jurisdiction. So as it is, after he's being investigated, if found wanting, then they move forward another step. But as it is, all we just need to do as a people, so that we don't jump the gun, is for us to just be patient. Let us see the outcome of the investigation, when the DSS are done with it. And if there is any financial misappropriation, and particularly we Nigerians, we all were against Emefiele at the point in time, particularly with the policy. So, and if the EFCC will have to invite him and look into that direction, if anything is found, is found wanting, then on that count again, he might be charged. So these are the things. But I just want us to, as a people, to exercise patience. Let the organs of the government, let them do the right thing. Let them do the needful. If the needful is done, from there, you see, everybody is talking about democracy, that water. There's no way. No, we should stop being deceptive. We should stop deceiving ourselves of the truth. We should stop being sentimental. The truth is, if there is no democracy, if you have not enjoyed anything about democracy, I have said it earlier, you are enjoying some level of freedom and rights. That is democracy.
Okay.
You are enjoying it. If it was the other way around, you will not even have the opportunity to even speak. That's the honest truth. So we should appreciate what we have. You see, they said everything that you want to be in life starts from little. So we have just started. How many years are we in democracy as it is today? You want to compare yourself to England. You want to compare yourself to United States. You want to compare yourself to other nations that have been there long ago. You want to compare yourself to France.
Okay.
Because that we continue to say, see what is happening in France. Do you know how long it took them before they could get to where they are at the moment? Even with the years that they are taking them, it's not yet perfect. They still have shortcomings as well.
All right.
So all we just need to embrace it and continue to nourish it.
Okay.
Until we're
all right. So that's Ademe, are you there? Okay, so that's our analyst for today, Ademia Adeolu. Thank you so much for being a part of the program this morning. This is where we draw the curtains for today. Newspaper review. Join us tomorrow by 8:30, where we will by 7:30. I beg your pardon. At 7:30, where we get on the program the newspaper review. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiso. Let's keep being patriotic and let's keep praying for their country. It will definitely get better. Do well to enjoy your Democracy Day holiday. Good morning.
Have you been a victim of corruption? Do you want to report how corruption affects you and your community? Send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537.
To pass this important message, I searched over and over for one word that means compact, complete, ideal, perfect, and seamless at the same time. Well, I ended up with the phrase all in one. Yes!